Hi everyone, with Honor and Profit now released, I've been thinking of ways in which you can play Jinteki at a competitive level, and this is one of them that I've thought of. It basically is Trick of Light Fast Advance with Harmony Medtech and using Mushin no Shin Plan Bs as a Trick of Light battery. So that puts the runner in a quandary. If they run on a Plan B, I can score from hand. If they don't run on the Plan B, I fast advance from hand. It's a lose-lose situation for the runner. And Jinteki is all about creating lose-lose situations for the runner. Yeah. So unfortunately, the deck that I'm test running against, the runner deck, is one which has been specifically engineered to deal with all the new Jinteki decks. As you can see, he's running a feedback filter, an early install feedback filter, so that really hoses a lot of plans. Yep. That nullifies any sort of net damage Jinteki shenanigans. And once he gets enough money, he can easily avoid a lot of damage, not just from ice, but also from things like Shikyu. Now you can't beat Shikyu for one more than the runner's hand size. And of course, he does the smart thing here. He uses quality time to draw up to 9 cards and runs my Shikyu. So, am I going to bid 10? Of course not. So I will bid. I didn't even bother bidding. I'll let him trash the Shikyu for free, and the next time he accesses archives, I'll get another chance. But yeah, slowly I will begin to realize that a deck specifically engineered to counter Jinteki decks are almost impossible to win against. The thing with other decks like HB and NBN Fast Advance is that they are not very counterable. Even if you do things like playing Imp or Demolition Run to trash Biotic Labels and Sense, these decks are pretty resilient to that, and they have means to work around it, and they can still score the hard way from remotes if they have to. But for Jinteki, which relies a lot on their net damage and Trick of Light, etc., having to play against a deck that can easily counter all these tricks makes Jinteki quite weak. Of course, his deck will not do very well against standard NBA Fast Advance decks, but still, against the Jinteki, it does everything you need to do and so much more. So anyway, I credit up with Celebrity Gift. Right now, I'm just searching for my Mushin no Shin and Plan B combo. And since he has feedback filter and probably a Deus Ex somewhere, there's no point in me keeping the Junbug. In fact, I swapped out one of my Plan Bs for Junbug to surprise the runner, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the deck slot. So anyway, I draw into a Medical Breakthrough, the 4-2 agenda that lowers in advancement every time. This is the agenda you want the runner to steal. It's the new Fetal AI, and it's better by a long shot in a deck that is engineered for fast advance. He continues playing rather passively, but that's fine. And here's where things get troublesome. I see that at the end of his turn, he discards an exploratory romp, and he has the same old thing on his desk. That completely changes the way I play. Now, I know that the moment I perform a Mushin no Shin, he's simply going to exploratory romp it to defuse the bomb and then run on it when he has no counters. So, yeah, it completely changes the way I play now. Now I don't know it seems like I need to abandon my plan of fortifying only the 2 central servers. Instead, I need to start building a remote. But it's already too late. It's too late. He's so far advanced. He already has a SMC and a Zuki master out. He's almost ready to break most of my ice. I still don't really know what his deck is based on, but the very fact that I can no longer perform advance from hand is horrible. This is why you should not create a deck that only has one win condition. In my win condition, it's advance from hand with Mushin no Shin Plan B. I don't have a Plan B for his deck. So what I do now is to force out his same old thing by using a Mushin no Shin or a precious Mushin no Shin on the private contracts. So I hope that he will use exploratory romp, same old thing on it. but instead he has another one in hand. So he defuses the bomb, he runs on it, and yeah, even though I wasted his time and I wasted one exploratory ROM, he still has the same old thing in on his side of the board, and that is pathetic. I do not know what to do now. I can't fast advance. I'm starting to get agenda clock in hand. I have 2 brain trusts and 4 advanced agendas. I can't do anything. I've already used all my eyes on my centrals. So I'm in a world of hurt right now. Any other deck will be doing very well against this kid right now, because this kid is low on money and needs so much time to set up. But me, I'm food for kid. Just easy pickings. And he installed another public sympathy. So his hand size is now 9. The good news is Komainu will be very taxing, but that's about it. He's not going to run into Komainu blindly anyway. So the sharpshooter comes out. Not very good because I have a couple of destroyers ready to fire. I started chucking agendas into archives now. I don't really have a choice at this point. I have to play slowly. If I draw up too fast, he will notice I'm discarding a lot of agendas into archives. But net shield. So yes, his deck really contains every single possible counter that you can think of to Jinteki. Anything that can fend off against net damage and all those nasty assets, newly released assets. There's probably a monolith hiding somewhere in there as well, for all I know. At this point I should have started setting up a remote, but I start HQ for some reason. I believe he was going to vamp me, but he was pretty low on credit, so I should have saw that as well. Anyway, it's more or less game over. I've kind of conceded. There's no way I'm going to win if the enemy plays exploratory round. That is, as far as I can think of, in the current card pool, there are only 2 ways to counter Mushin no Shin plan B. Either you run Nerf Agent or HQ interface or legwork and clear the corpse HQ of all agendas before running on plan B and destroying plan B for good. The other option is to play exploratory ROM, the easy option, because Mushin no Shin does not allow you to install the new card in a defended remote server. You have to install the new card in a separate remote server, undefended. So, yep. At this point, I got really desperate and I tried to play off the trap by installing and advancing once. But of course, since he has all the defensive mechanisms needed against Jinteki, he just runs through it happily and scores the medical breakthrough. On the bright side, that means that my next one will be 3-2, but there's not much of a consolation, is it? Alright, he makes the big run on HQ, and I show him the EG. He only has a sharpshooter to defend against it, and I believe he's going to use it here. And meanwhile, I'm just thinking of how I can get myself out of this situation, this impossible situation. The only way I can think of is to keep drawing more ice from my deck, and hopefully I'll find enough ice to make a proper remote server to defend. But, yep, it's starting to look really grim for me. No pun intended. He continues on into HQ, and I checked his archives and everything, and I decided to rest the Inazuma, which he can break, but it will cost him quite a bit to do so. And then I rest the Eli. Now he doesn't have a barrier breaker, and he has no clicks to clip through it. So he will have to fetch his Kuroda. Or not. He decides to jack out. Alright. So at least I made him spend some credits there. And I joined the Mushin, so now I have the combo. But I know it's not gonna work because same old thing. It's on the board. And sure enough, he plays a third exploratory ROM from his hand. Who on earth uses 3 exploratory ROMs in the deck? Really, this deck is really made for the new release of Honor and Profit. I guess, as I said to him at the end of the game, if you want to have fun stomping over everyone who's experimenting with the new Jinteki decks, this is the deck to play. Kate with 3 back filter, 3 exploratory ROMs, a net shield, and a monolith somewhere. Yep, you can't go wrong with that. Oh, and a Mimic too, because Mimic causes Jinteki any Mimic. And a Zuki Master, because Yok doesn't cut it anymore. Zoo does it. So, what can I do now? I can only draw, get more ice, and try to score agendas the hard way. I have 2 Brain Trust in hand, so that's fine, but my servers are entirely porous. My ice selection is meant to be taxing. I completely never intended my ice to stop the runner dead cold, unless they have no credits. So there is no way that my server will be ever secure. Not without a lot of credits and ice at least. And I'm starting to run out of credits. Raising all the ice on HQ costs quite a bit of money. It's looking dire. So I draw into my 3rd Brain Trust and I decide that it's not worth waiting anymore. So my Brain Trust goes in the remote and hopefully doesn't run on it. Yep. I don't really have much to say other than the fact that he's completely demolishing my deck. I mean, the plan B idea I would say is pretty decent against most runners, and it's a nice surprise factor if you are taking it to a tournament that is occurring around the corner. And yeah, that is pretty much the only use of plan B. Usually plan B is pretty useless. It's worthless if you don't have at least 3 advancement tokens on it. And the only way you're gonna get 3 advancement tokens on it in one turn is by Mushin no Shin. So yeah, plan B is it's a card that only works with Mushin no Shin and maybe Matrix Analyzer. Anyway, he clicks through my Eli with 1 click, and I get to choose a program to trash. What would you trash in this case? I have no idea. Net shield is pretty useless. I'm not really running any net damage sources. Zuki Master would help quite a bit, but he has SMC anyway, so taking out the SMC might be a good idea. In the end, I chose to take out the Zuki Master. If only to prevent him from breaking Inazuma's. But while the damage has been done, he scores the Brain Trust, and now I'm left wondering what I should do next. Click for credits, I suppose, and I throw away the Mushin no Shin knowing that it's completely useless by now, invalidated. I can only hope that he doesn't have another Code Gate Breaker in his stack, ready to be summoned with SMC. Yet another same old thing. So, yeah. Same old thing, sorry. Exploratory ROM is the direct hard counter to Mushin no Shin. There is a way to get around it, and that is by using Mushin no Shin on your 1st and 2nd clicks, and icing on your 3rd click, so your asset is actually protected. But with only 1 layer of protection, you can only do so much. I mean, early game it's fine, but as you progress to the mid-late game, 1 layer of ice just won't cut it. So I find myself a Nero Katana that's going on the server, and I install the Jackson to hopefully force him to spend his credits running the server. I might have made an illegal play here. I installed the Nero Katana paying only 1 instead of 2. But he ignores my remote and goes for R&D instead. I carefully consider my options, dwelling all my ice. I'm sure you forgot what the ice are by now. But anyway, it's a Heimdall on top. Heimdall is a fantastic piece of ice. It's strictly better than War of Thorns in my opinion. Actually, the only drawback is that it can be clipped through, whereas War of Thorns ends the run if you don't have a barrier breaker. That's the only drawback. Otherwise, even in Jinteki, if you're splashing Heimdall over War of Thorns, that says something. For 1 more strength and 1 more subroutine, for the same cost, it's the reason why I include it in this deck. So he breaks the Heimdall. He still has 10 credits left, while I'm on 4 credits, which is too little. So instead of I'll cut my losses and go straight to the side game instead. I bid 0 and it fails. So he gets through and is able to trash Nisei along with scoring an agenda. Nope, he doesn't score the agenda. Very well. He still has a lot of credits left. That's the power of playing lots of prepaid voice pads. When you come to the late game, playing any economic asset like Sure Gamble or Lucky Find will give you a lot of credits right off the bat. And you don't even need to have that credit requirement. You can play a Sure Gamble for 2 credits in your hand. That is the sheer power that prepaid voice pad offers. So I can only sit here and await my impending doom. There's nothing much else I can do. He plays a Maker's Eye, and with so few credits left, I can't do much. I rest the Inazuma. And he doesn't break it because I trash his Suzuki Master. And I showed the Yagura. So he cannot break the Yagura, so I can look at the top card of my stack and inflict 1 net damage on him, which he mitigates with Net Shield, but he still gets to see the top 3 cards. So if any of the other 2 cards are agendas, it's still game over. Right? Let's see. The first card is fine, the second card is the game winning agenda. Nothing much else to say here, it's just a proof of concept of my Jinteki deck. I still think it is somewhat viable. Simply because the counters to Plan B are Mushin no Shin Plan B are so specific. You really need to include these niche cards in your deck. Otherwise, you are opening the cork up to fast advance from hand. You have to play properly, perform R&D lock and clear HQ. Nothing much else you can do. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around.